Billionaire father watches waitress feed his disabled son and changes her life forever. What if one small act of kindness could change your life forever? Would you stop to help a child in need, even if no one was watching? For Olivia, that one selfless moment led to an opportunity she never could have imagined. The rain lashed against the glass windows of Maple Street Diner, a small but cozy eatery nestled in the heart of Chicago. The relentless rhythm of the downpour echoed the exhaustion in Olivia's chest, blending with the distant hum of the city beyond the fogged-up glass. Long shifts, endless hours on her feet, the sizzle of the kitchen, and the clatter of platesit was all routine. But tonight, the diner felt eerily quiet, almost abandoned, as if the world was holding its breath for something unexpected to happen. What would you have done in Olivia's shoes? Let us know in the comments below. Your thoughts matter. The only customers left were a truck driver sipping his coffee in the corner, likely taking a break from a long cross-country haul, and a college student glued to his laptop, his face illuminated by the screen as he frantically typed, probably working on a last-minute assignment. As Olivia wiped the counter, her eyes caught sight of a small figure just outside the entrance. A young boy, no older than 8, sat alone in a wheelchair, his frail body shivering under a damp, worn-out blanket. His dark hair was plastered to his forehead, soaked from the relentless downpour. Without hesitation, Olivia grabbed a towel and rushed outside, her shoes splashing against the wet pavement, the cold wind biting at her skin. The boy sat motionless, his small body trembling beneath a rain-soaked blanket. Her heart clenched. "Hey, sweetheart," she called softly, kneeling beside him and brushing wet strands of hair from his forehead. "What are you doing out here all alone?" The boy hesitated, his lips quivering from the cold. "I'm waiting for someone," he whispered, barely audible over the relentless downpour. Olivia looked around, scanning the empty street. No cars. No frantic parents. No one. Her instincts kicked in. "You can't stay out here in this storm," she said gently, her voice firm yet kind. "Come inside with me. It's warm, and I have something special for you." The boy hesitated for another moment, as if unsure whether to trust her, but eventually he gave a small nod. Olivia carefully took hold of the handles of his wheelchair and guided him inside. The warmth of the diner was instant, wrapping around them like a comforting embrace. She wheeled him over to a spot near the radiator, grabbing a clean towel and draping it over his shoulders. As she did, she noticed how thin he was, how his hands trembled slightly even as they reached for the edges of the towel. "I'm Olivia," she said, offering him a kind smile. "What's your name?" "Leo," the boy replied, his voice a little steadier now, a tiny grin forming on his lips. "Well, Leo, I think I know just the thing to warm you up," she said, her tone light and playful. "How about a grilled cheese sandwich? And maybe some hot soup to go with it?" The boy's eyes widened slightly, and for the first time, there was a flicker of excitement in them. Olivia didn't wait for an answer. She was already moving toward the kitchen, her mind set on making this moment better for him. Minutes later, she returned with a steaming plate and a cup of tomato soup, the rich aroma filling the air. She set the food in front of him and carefully tucked a napkin into his lap. "This one's on me," she said softly, watching as his small hands reached for the sandwich. Leo's eyes lit up as he took a bite, the cheese stretching in gooey strings. He let out a small, delighted gasp. "This is the best thing I've ever had," he murmured, pure wonder in his voice. Olivia chuckled, sitting across from him. She watched as he eagerly dipped his sandwich into the soup, taking careful bites between excited chatter about superheroes and his favorite cartoons. For a moment, all of Olivia's exhaustion faded. She wasn't thinking about the long hours or the aching in her feet. She was simply present in this moment, enjoying the happiness she had brought to a lonely child. And outside, unseen by either of them, a sleek black car sat idling in the rain. Inside, Daniel Carter sat in silence, his fingers tapping lightly against the steering wheel. His sharp eyes followed Olivia's every movement, watching the warmth in her gestures, the effortless kindness in her voice. A strange pang hit his chest, an unfamiliar mix of admiration and nostalgia. He had long forgotten what genuine compassion looked like, and for the first time in years, he found himself moved by something other than power or business. Inside, a man watched the scene unfold, his expression unreadable. But deep inside, something was shifting, something that would soon change both their lives forever. Olivia chuckled, sitting across from him as they talked about superheroes, cartoons, and silly little things. For a moment, all of Olivia's exhaustion faded. She wasn't thinking about the long shifts, the aching in her feet, or the worries about rent. She was just here, in this fleeting yet meaningful moment, watching a little boy light up with joy over something as simple as a sandwich and a warm conversation. Leo's laughter was soft but infectious, his small shoulders finally relaxing as he spoke animatedly about his favorite characters. Olivia found herself smiling genuinely, forgetting her own struggles as she listened to him describe his dream of becoming a comic book artist someday. "You know," she said thoughtfully, "I think you'd make an amazing artist. The world could use more stories like the ones you imagine." Leo beamed at her words, his blue eyes shining with excitement. What Olivia didn't realize was that across the street, hidden in the shadows of the dimly lit road, a sleek black car sat idling in the rain. Inside, Daniel Carter, the CEO of Carter Enterprises, watched the scene unfold. His sharp eyes remained fixed on Olivia and his son, Leo, though his expression was unreadable. At 45, Daniel had built an empire. He had seen the best and worst of ruthless ambition, selfish greed, and cutthroat deals. But in Olivia, he saw something that money could never buy: pure, unguarded kindness. She had no idea who Leo was, no clue that his father was a billionaire. Yet she had treated him with warmth and sincerity, without a second thought. She had given him not just food, but care, dignity, and a moment of happiness. Something inside Daniel stirred, something unfamiliar, yet deeply moving. He had spent years surrounded by people who only saw his wealth, his status, his power. But Olivia? She saw none of that. She simply saw a child in need. And for the first time in years, Daniel felt something shift within him. A realization, a decision, one that would change not just Olivia's life, but his own as well. That night, back in his penthouse overlooking the city, Daniel couldn't stop thinking about Olivia. The sight of her kneeling beside his son, offering warmth and care without hesitation, replayed in his mind over and over. He found himself standing by the vast windows, staring out at the glittering skyline, yet his thoughts remained locked on the woman from the diner. She didn't even hesitate, he murmured to himself, swirling the amber liquid in his glass. He had seen countless acts of kindness over the years, but something about this was different. It wasn't charity. It wasn't for show. It was instinctual, genuine. His thoughts were interrupted by the buzzing of his phone. He grabbed it from his desk, his assistant's name flashing on the screen. "Sir, you asked me to look into her. I have the file." Daniel took a deep breath, his fingers tightening around the glass. "Send it to me." Moments later, his tablet lit up with the incoming document. He sat down, his sharp eyes scanning the details. Olivia Martin, 28, waitress at Maple Street Diner for 5 years. No family, no college degree, barely making ends meet, yet known for always helping others 7 when she had little herself. Daniel leaned back in his chair, absorbing the information. There were notes about her covering shifts for coworkers who couldn't make rent, about her giving away meals to struggling regulars at the diner, even about a time she'd used her own tips to buy a warm coat for a homeless man who came in during winter. She had nothing, yet she gave so freely. He exhaled, tapping the side of his glass. There was something about Hera, quiet strength, an innate goodness that was almost impossible to find in the world he lived in. Daniel had spent decades surrounded by people who only saw what he could offer them. Every conversation, every deal, every relationship transactional. But Olivia? She had no idea who Leo was, who he was, yet she had acted out of nothing but kindness. He took another slow sip of his drink, his mind made up. The next morning, as sunlight streamed into his penthouse, he made the call. "Find her," he told his assistant. His voice was steady, resolute. "I want to meet her." Understood. Underscore. Olivia was stunned when she received the invitation to Carter Enterprises. Her hands trembled as she held the envelope, reading the words over and over as if they might change. Her mind raced with questions. Why would a billionaire CEO want to meet her? Was this a mistake? A cruel joke? Part of her wanted to dismiss it entirely, but another part, one filled with equal parts fear and hope, told her she had to see this through. Could this be the opportunity she had never dared to dream of? Standing outside the towering glass building, she hesitated for a moment. The massive skyscraper gleamed in the morning sunlight, reflecting a world that was completely foreign to her. She glanced down at her modest attire, faded jeans, worn-out sneakers, and a simple blouse. She felt out of place among the sea of tailored suits and polished heels rushing past her. Taking a deep breath, she stepped inside. The lobby was immaculate. Marble floors gleamed under chandeliers, and a soft hum of whispered conversations and distant footsteps filled the air. Olivia clutched her bag tightly, resisting the urge to turn back. What was she doing here? A well-dressed receptionist greeted her with a practiced smile. "Welcome to Carter Enterprises, Ms. Martin," she said smoothly, her voice polished and professional. "Mr. Carter is expecting you. Please follow me." She led Olivia to a private elevator, pressing a button before stepping aside. "This will take you directly to the executive floor." Olivia swallowed hard, nerves twisting in her stomach as the doors slid shut. The ride up felt endless, each floor taking her higher into a world she never imagined she'd enter. When the doors finally opened, she was met with an even grander space, a sleek, modern office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. And in the center of it all stood Daniel Carter, his expression unreadable. "I saw what you did last night," he said, his voice steady but laced with something else, perhaps admiration. "You took care of my son without knowing who he was. You didn't see wealth. You just saw a child in need." Olivia shifted uncomfortably. "Tu didn't mean to overstep," she stammered. "He just looked like he needed help." Daniel studied her for a moment before nodding. "And that's exactly why I want to offer you a job at Carter Enterprises." Her eyes widened. "A job? But I don't know anything about business. I'm just a waitress." "You don't need to know business," Daniel said firmly. "I need people with a heart like yours. People who do the right thing, even when no one is watching." He leaned forward, his voice softer but more intent. 6 figures, full benefits, stability, a chance to change your life. Olivia's breath caught. She had spent years scraping by, struggling to make ends meet, skipping meals just to afford rent. And now, out of nowhere, a billionaire was offering her a life she had never dared to dream of. The thought was dizzying. "Why me?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Daniel's gaze was unwavering, his words carrying a weight that sent chills down her spine. "Because you saw my son as a person, not a rich man's kid. That's rare." Olivia swallowed hard, her mind racing. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But could she really step into this world? Did she belong here? Underscore. But stepping into this new world wasn't easy. Olivia faced skepticism from Daniel's staff. Whispers followed her in the halls, people questioning why a mere waitress had been given such an opportunity. Some dismissed her as a passing whim of the CEO, while others speculated that she would never last in such a competitive environment. "Guess Carter's feeling charitable these days," one executive muttered to a colleague, as Olivia passed by. Another scoffed. Let's see how long she lasts before she realizes this isn't a diner and walks out. Olivia heard their words, but kept her head high, determined to prove them wrong. She tried to ignore the stares, the hushed conversations behind her back, but it wasn't easy. The polished executives had spent years climbing the corporate ladder, yet here she was, a woman with no business background, sitting in meetings and learning the ropes of a world that felt alien to her. Some people refused to take her seriously, handing her menial tasks, expecting her to fail. And then disaster struck. Confidential company information was leaked. The company was thrown into chaos. Employees whispered anxiously about the breach. Investors grew wary, and Daniel was furious. The worst part? Olivia was accused. "You think I did this?" she asked Daniel, her voice tight with disbelief and hurt. "I need the truth," he said gravely, his expression unreadable. The weight of his words hit her like a punch to the gut. He didn't trust her. Not entirely. Olivia's mind raced. The details of the leak, the suspicious timing, it didn't add up. Then it hit her, the man at the diner, the one who had asked about her job. Could he be involved? She had thought it was a casual conversation, but what if it had been more? "Daniel, I think I know who might have done this," she said urgently. His eyes narrowed. "Go on." She explained the encounter at the diner, her growing suspicion that she had been set up. Daniel listened intently, his jaw tightening with every word. She pleaded for a chance to prove her innocence. Daniel hesitated, searching her face for any sign of deception, but ultimately, he gave her that chance. Together, they dug deep, reviewing security footage, analyzing digital footprints, and questioning employees who might have seen anything suspicious. What they uncovered was worse than Olivia had imagined. The real culprit wasn't just a random informant, it was a high-level executive, someone deeply embedded within the company, who had been feeding information to a competitor. Olivia had been used as a scapegoat, an easy target due to her lack of connections and corporate experience. Daniel wasted no time. An internal investigation was launched immediately, gathering evidence and reviewing communications. Within days, it became clear that the executive had been leaking information deliberately. Once the case was airtight, Daniel personally confronted the culprit in a tense boardroom meeting. With undeniable proof in hand, he had no choice but to terminate the executive's employment, ensuring that justice was served and the company's integrity remained intact. Damage control began immediately, and the company was saved from what could have been a disastrous fallout. When Daniel turned to Olivia, his expression had changed. There was no longer doubt in his eyes, only respect. "Thank you," he said sincerely. "You didn't have to fight for this, but you did." A wave of relief washed over Olivia. She had proved herself not just to Daniel, but to herself. She had stood her ground, faced accusations, and uncovered the truth. And in doing so, she had earned her place in this world. "I won't let you down," she promised, her voice steady. And she didn't. Life lessons and meaningful message from this story. The power of kindness and integrity. This story reminds us that kindness, even in the smallest of actions, has the power to change lives. Olivia didn't know who Leo was, nor did she expect anything in return. Yet, her simple act of compassion set in motion a series of events that transformed her own life. This proves that true goodness often comes when we least expect it. Opportunities come in unexpected ways. Many people feel stuck in life, believing that success is only for those who have wealth, connections, or an elite background. Olivia's journey shows that character and heart matter just as much as skills or experience. When she chose to act selflessly, it opened doors she never could have imagined. Sometimes, the biggest opportunities come from the most unexpected places. Facing doubt and proving your worth throughout the story, Olivia faced skepticism, judgment, and accusations. Instead of giving up, she persevered, proving that resilience and integrity will always shine through. It's a reminder that no matter how others perceive you, staying true to yourself will always lead to success. Trust is earned, not given freely. Daniel was a man who had seen the worst in people, but Olivia's genuine kindness broke through his walls. Trust isn't built overnight. It is earned through consistent actions. This story teaches us that trust is one of the most valuable things we can build in our relationships, both personal and professional. Call to action if this story inspired you. Imagine the impact kindness could have in your own life and the lives of those around you. We invite you to be part of our community at Toch Story, where we share meaningful, heartwarming stories that remind us of the goodness in humanity. Subscribe now to Toch Story to receive our latest inspiring videos and never miss a moment of powerful storytelling. Don't forget to like, comment, and share your thoughts. Your support helps us bring more incredible stories to life. What lesson did you take from this story? Let us know in the comments.